Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome also to the projects which will be on stage this morning. Thank you very much to many of you which were part of this competition to see which of our projects have most impact in society. I think this is a pretty obvious one. We are in Europe at EU level and in member states funding research, of course, to advance science and knowledge, but also to achieve results. And we thought that under Horizon Europe, it would be important to acknowledge that more visibly than we do. As Carlos Moedas said in the opening, we need to tell the stories. You need to tell the stories. And this is really what this award is about, to identify and celebrate those of you which have carried out their research and have had real impact in the ground. Let me share one anecdote on a more personal basis. This also comes back to one experience I had now nearly 10 years ago, when I was in charge of research in another part of the European Commission, in transport. And we organized this one-day meeting with our portfolio of projects. And frankly, it was an amazing day. I mean, spectacular research across all modes of transport, mind-boggling. I was there with my Director General at the time. And we had one of the best days we had had in many years. And at the end of the day, we bring them all together, all these projects. We have this panel, and we just ask them, what now? And all of them, without an exception, suggested more research. So yes, this is, I think, project funding, and the reason is very much that as well. But we also need to ensure that when we complete our work, we also see how this translates in society and in reality. And this is what we want to acknowledge today, Anna.
Good morning to everybody. So we had a very interesting session before where we said impact is very important. And we announced already that it's the first year that we are going to have this impact award for our projects. So I'm very happy that together with Jean-Eric, we are going to do the first nominations. And it was a lot of success, this prize, because we had more than 324 projects, I think, submitting applications, and we had 10 finalists. And I propose that we see the video with the 10 finalists.
En avant.
What we have developed is a solution to provide more mobile broadband 3G in remote rural areas.
You can keep your products fresh a lot longer, reduce food waste, and reduce the amount of plastic packaging in the food and veg supply chain.
We realized that actually the audience could be bigger. We could really enable end users to lower their CO2 footprint at scale.
The Theseus project delivered an holistic approach to risk assessment and management in the perspective of a climate-smart development of European coastal areas.
Together with a bunch of academics and industry people, collaboratively developed a protocol which is more secure than any ever standardized before.
In 2 years, we've reached 600,000 families. We delivered a set of manuals and training programs.
They are programs that they want to promote mental health of school children and prevent suicidal behaviors.
We studied whether the use of the HPV test instead of the Pap test actually lowers the risk of cervical cancer in women in Europe.
It became quite clear that we had a unique opportunity to create new vaccines, new drugs, and novel diagnostics.
The key findings of all these clinical phase studies was that this kind of treatment was successful. It improved their life quality considerably.
Well, congratulations to all of these projects. Pretty amazing. I mean, I must say, I'm really happy I was not in the jury, because for me, all 10 should be here and be awarded the prize this year. So how do we do that now, Anna?
So I think it's going to be a difficult choice.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So do we get to the first one, or how do I do that?
Yes, there is no ranking.
Okay, okay.
It's just by coincidence, the first or the second.
Okay.
Yes, I propose that you open the first envelope.
The first envelope. So As said, all these 10 projects had amazing impact. You just saw it. And a team chose the first 10 ones. And the first winning proposal for now is the Smart Coasts proposal. And we have Barbara Zanutig. Barbara, are you here with us? I hope Barbara is with us. Can you join us? Bravo. Congratulations. Well done. Let's have a quick look at the video and then you can tell us more about it.
Just delivered an holistic approach to risk assessment and management in the perspective of a climate-smart development of European coastal areas. And this was also in perspective of people-centered solutions to climate change. Coastal areas include a variety of sectors. You have, of course, fisheries, you have tourism, you have ecosystems that really require preservation. We can think of preserving nature, so preserving ecosystem services. One key example can be salt marshes. It's something extremely precious. It should be preserved. And at the same time, it has another function. It has the function of defending and preserving the inland because it fights against erosion. We have developed new technologies and new methodologies. For instance, practices that inspired the dredging the sediments from the harbors and then pouring, nourishing this kind of environment. This, of course, it's also in light of a blue economy, of a strict relation, of the management of the resources of the sediment stocks along your coastal areas.
Barbara, you want to add a few words? And tell, well, should we hand it over first? No. Why don't you say a few words first and adding to that?
Thank you. Actually, when we started with the Theseus project, it was 10 years ago. So talking about climate change was something that people really do not think, it was not a word that they were used to use in the normal days. But nowadays we know that climate change is extremely important, so it's something that is grouping all of us. And actually the prize will be used to launch a competition, a photography competition, and a broad competition to elicit the participation from children, schools, you that are in these rooms, because we would like people to feel the coastal risk, to see the coastal risk, and be able to show them through pictures. So there will be an Instagram page grouping these pictures. And we hope that in this way people can become more conscious about the problem and about the ways to face climate change. We showed with this project that no technological solution or no innovation alone is the solution. We have environmental solution, technological solution, but most of all we need people-centered solution, and we need the participation of everybody, otherwise we will not be able to defend and preserve our world. This actually is what the strong communication needs, is what also Greta showed us in this last month. And we hope that really also the result of this project will be spread in the world, and we will manage to become more resilient against this problem. I would like also, of course, to thank the European Commission. They invested a lot of funds in a pioneeristic project. And, of course, all my team, my Theseus team before, and then my Smart Coast team now. And, of course, thank you so much for this prize.
Barbara, thank you very much. Vas-y. Thank you. And indeed, as you said, I think I will probably also hire you to write Horizon Europe, because this was a very, very nice putting it together. Thank you very much. Great. So let's go to the second winner.
The second one, huh?
Why don't you do that, Anna?
So the second one, I have the envelope here. So it's an impact award that concerns health. Mm-hmm. And the winning proposal is Manicure, presented by Paul Saffink.
There are common disorders which we all know, like heart attacks, circulation problems, or neurodegenerative disorders, but there are also rare disorders. And from these rare disorders, so alpha-monoacidosis is even rarer. 1 in 500,000 people which are born can have this disease, which affects mainly children, but it can also affect adults. it's actually leading to cerebral dysfunction, so the central nervous system is affected, but also the entire visceral system is affected, meaning so that the patients suffer from pain, they suffer from infections. Lampseed is the actual product which is approved since last year, as I said, and which is now on the market. And a patient gets such an infusion every second week, but it requires this infusion of this missing enzyme lifelong. This leads to improved life quality of the patients, and also for the companies is of interest because they sell this drug for long periods. Without joining forces from people who do clinics, who are pediatricians, who are fundamental biologists, behavior biologists, and people from companies, so we could have not developed that. So the key findings, of course, of all these clinical phase studies was that this kind of treatment was successful, meaning it helped the patients and it improved their life quality considerably.
Bravo. Congratulations.
Well, if I'm able to say a few words here, so I think I have to emphasize first the help of the European Union. Without the European Union support, this medicine would not be on the market. And so it was 12 years of funding, and within these 12 years of funding, so the people involved in this study, so they all became together, became a big family, a European family, and that was a European spirit which drove our enthusiasm, drove our, also that we could overcome our problems in a way, to that we finally ended up last year, so by having the drug on the market. And I especially would like to thank the patients who took place in this study and their relatives and parents who sometimes took the burden to go long journeys from all distant parts of Europe to the clinical center in Denmark. And well, last but not least, of course, everybody involved in this study. It was fun to work with them.
Tak. Very well done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bravo. Great. I move to now to the third award. Je peux juste te donner ça? Thank you, Anna. To the third award, which is the SAFE project, with Lucy Clover to present it. Lucy.
1 billion children a year are victims of child abuse, and most of them are in the developing world. It's got massive, severe health and social consequences. And there was no evidence-based free programs for the developing world. What families often lack is strategies to deal with those stresses. Essentially, we delivered a set of manuals and training programs, and those went up for free on the World Health Organization and UNICEF websites, and were endorsed by the World Health Organization, the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children, by USAID, by UNICEF, by Save the Children, by Catholic Relief Services. Amazingly, we found that families were able to deal with poverty much better. They budgeted, they had more savings, less borrowing from loan sharks, and they were more likely to have enough food at the end of the month. Lots of universities have taken on the program as their own. It's translated into 18 languages. So we have these success stories that come in from Tanzania, from Montenegro. Last week we had one from South Sudan, showing that it's working in their countries. In 2 years, we've reached 600,000 families in 22 countries. By 2021, we'll have reached 2 million families. And by 2025, we want to reach 1 billion.
Thank you. So I remembered on the train here coming up for my ERC starter grant interview for this project. And I was 2 years out of my doctorate. And one of the reviewers' first comments started with, Dr. Kluwer is both arrogant and naive.
Okay, well, here you go. Scientists amongst themselves.
Naive, I agree. Arrogant, I counter. But there's no question that this was wildly ambitious, and that no one apart from the European Research Council would have funded someone like me to do a project 2 years out of their doctorate that had the small goal of ending child abuse in Africa. We've now reached 22 countries, 600,000 families. It is so not enough. Our next step is to develop this program into an artificial intelligence enhanced app to help families across low and middle income countries to not only understand parenting skills, but also to network with each other. We've raised €1 million. We need 1 million more. Anyone who would be interested or has ideas or partners or support this, I'd love to speak to you afterwards. And just to say, are we still naive? Yes. Are we still wildly ambitious? Yes. But with 1 billion children a year affected by child abuse, this is absolutely necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have it. Lucy, thank you. You are proud, you should be proud, and you make us proud too. Thank you very much for that.
So, the last one for today. The last one for today, I think Lucy paved the way. Social impact, technological impact, or use is very important, but a secure one. So the winning proposal is CRISP TLS, presented by, a difficult name, Karthikeyan Farvagan. Sorry, my name is not easier.
Together with a bunch of academics and industry people, collaboratively developed a protocol which is more secure than any ever standardized before. When you're using a web browser, if it's Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or whatever, and going to your bank or to Facebook or Gmail or whatever, you see this little green padlock on the top left. And that little padlock, behind it, is this thing called transport layer security. The promise it's giving you is that there is a secure channel right from your browser all the way across the world to your bank or to Gmail or whatever, and nobody else other than you and Gmail can read the data that you put on that website. When we began our project, which is called CRISP, the version of transport layer security that everybody was using was TLS 1.2. We started looking more closely at this protocol, thinking that it was fine too. But as we poked at it, we found that there were lots and lots of problems in there. So the IETF decided to throw it all away and completely redesign this protocol from scratch. So today, if you are using Google Chrome and you go to Gmail, you're actually using a new protocol called TLS 1.3, which we and our research helped design. The new version of TLS, it has already been deployed in Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, but slowly it's spreading through the internet. And we expect in another 2 years or so, almost all the connections you will use on the internet would use this new version, which is TLS 1.3.
We have part in that. That is really amazing. That's impact as well.
Well, thank you. Just a couple of comments. So over the last few years since we began this project, I mean, even without our consciously realizing it, more and more larger and more complex software systems have interposed themselves into all our personal communications, commercial transactions, government services, and so on, to the extent that today we can't really be sure whether these things work as they're expected or not. Some of them, we don't even know what they do. So the starting point of our work was that we need some mathematical rigor in the design and implementation of these systems so we can understand what they do, and then, more importantly, to prove that they are actually preserving our security and privacy. So we applied this to TLS. It's an important internet security mechanism. But I hope the real impact of our work will be that the techniques that we use, the formal methods that we use, will now be used for all commercial software and all open source software going forward, so that the components that we are relying on a daily basis for our digital security and privacy as digital citizens, that's actually proven secure and not something we have to trust some big company for. And I would like to thank the EU for their very generous funding, my organization INRIA, which provides a nice open research environment where we needed to do this kind of work, and of course to all my students and co-authors who immeasurably helped in this work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And indeed, security and privacy are really European hallmarks, and thank you very much for this amazing impact. Great. Anna, thank you. I think this brings us to the end of this ceremony. So we have now 4 remarkable examples which were here with us today, 6 more which you saw in the video. I know there are many more others, so to all of you, but to my colleagues in particular, let's tell these stories. Thank you very much. Enjoy the lunch and see you afterwards. Thank you.